video is being made to help parents and teachers who are entering London College of Music examinations held at the Norwich Centre. Music exams are held at Brannerton Academy, which is 3 miles from Norwich city centre, 3 times a year. In the spring, usually just the last week of most school terms before Easter. In the summer, during the last 2 weeks in July, and in winter, the last week in November. The last dates for entry to Norwich are usually the 23rd of September for the winter exams, the 23rd of January for the spring exams, and the 23rd of April for the summer exams. Your teacher will usually give you a kind of entry form or ask you for the money for the exam, and once you have given the money to your teacher, this then has to be banked and your teacher will enter you for the exams. Please do not enter for an exam if you are unavailable during the examination period, because once you have entered, there is no possibility of a refund. The entry dates and in fact the usual times of examinations can be found on the link below, or if you Google Norwich Centre LCM exams, University of West London, the dates and provisional dates are all written in there. Once you have entered, however, there is no going back and no swapping, so it is advisable for you to keep those dates free. Once you have entered, you then hear nothing until sometimes 2 or 3 weeks before the examination. You will then be issued with an attendance notice, and once this has been issued, there is no changing of the time or date available. On your attendance notice, it tells you that you must arrive 15 minutes before your exam. This is for very good reason. You have to check in at the centre. Each of the representatives or stewards will hold an examination timetable for the LCM. When you arrive, the steward will ask you for means of identification, so you should bring with you either a passport or a bus pass or a birth certificate. When the representative or steward has seen this, they will enter that they have seen this on the LCM form and cross your name off. You then need to be preparing, taking your coat off, getting your attendance notice ready, your programme, warming your instrument up, and sometimes the examiner will be running early, sometimes they might be running late. But if you are there 15 minutes beforehand, it usually helps to keep the exams running smoothly. There is nothing worse for an examiner than a long wait between students. We also appreciate that there is nothing worse than a full waiting room and an examiner who runs late, but sometimes the examiners will run late due to very poorly prepared candidates when it is impossible to keep to time. In this day and age, many of you are bringing your attendance notices on iPads or mobile phones. This is acceptable, in which case you must still provide a separate copy of your programme. For instance, here is a Step 1 examination programme, which has not been written on the back of the attendance notice because that was on the telephone. And below is shown a grade 4 piano programme. Also, the attendance notice was on the telephone. This has to be then brought separately and given to the examiner. In the case of a music theatre examination, in addition to the attendance notice, every student needs to bring a programme as part of the examination. This is a sample programme and it will contain the songs to be sung. It will contain the date of composition, the musical from which the song has been taken, and any other relevant information. Here is a sample. Often on the back should be a short biography of the person singing and why they have chosen the songs. That was a grade 2. Here is a slightly higher grade, and here is the programme. All the songs and the shows from which they have been taken, the composer, the librettist, the character, and a short summary of the plot. This is only for music theatre, but all the pieces need to be clearly written on the back of the attendance notice. Behaviour in exams. Sometimes the examiner will be very busy writing copious amounts on every student. Your behaviour needs to be exemplary. You come in and smile and sit down or stand at your instrument to play your pieces. It is no good having temper tantrums, crying and running away. Make sure you are prepared well for your exam and that you have practiced a lot beforehand. Make sure the posture at your instrument is good. There are some examples of this at the piano. And dress for an exam. Please try to be smart. An examiner will always dress well for examinations, and it is only polite for you to do the same. If parents wish to read the syllabus for themselves, they are able to. All the syllabi are available online at LCM exams, and you can look for yourself to check that your child is very well prepared for the exam. It is very important that a piano student has the right height of the stool for their posture to be correct. The stools are usually adjustable like this, and they can be turned up or down to lower or the higher the stool at the wish of the student. Okay. D major with the right hand. Thank you. During your examination, your examiner will be very busy writing to fill in a report form which looks something like this. The top column is for scales, then there are 3 pieces. There is a viva voce section, which is questions about the pieces, a sight reading section for an unprepared piece, and oral tests, which we have a small example of conducting for you to see. I am going to play 4 different tunes. They will either be in 2, 3, 4 or 6/8 time, and I need you to listen the first time and to conduct or beat time the second time when you know what time they're in. Here we go. Listen carefully. Now you can beat time. Thank you. Now another one. Off you go. And another one. Okay. And one more. Thank you, Zara. You will also see how Zara started the 3-time one going the wrong way, but she quickly realised and changed it to down, out, up, which is the correct way to do it. If you are playing from more than one book of music, make sure your music is in order so that when you have finished the first piece or the first book, you can shut that, turn over, and the second one is available, and then shut that and the third piece is available. This saves very much valuable time when the examiner comes over to ask you questions about the pieces. Never shut the book because it wastes time in a very short examination period trying to find the right place for the examiner to ask the questions. There is only 10 minutes allowed for each step and grade exam. Grade 2 and 3 are 15 minutes only, and then we go up to 20 minutes, and during that time there is a lot of work to be done. There are many helpful sight reading books on the market. Improve Your Sight Reading by Paul Harris for the piano, also for clarinet, flute, saxophone, and there are past sight reading piece collections for each grade from the London College of Music. All these are very helpful for the sight reading. The examiner will give you approximately a minute to study the sight reading piece before you have to play it. The playing should not take more than 30 seconds to a minute. If the pieces are very laboured and very unprepared, or if the examiner has heard enough, he may ask you then to stop. This doesn't mean you have passed or failed necessarily, it just means that he has heard enough to make an informed decision on the playing. And the last fun bit is that the Norwich Centre holds a prize giving once a year, the first week in September. This is where all students who enter for LCM music exams are welcome to come to collect their certificates. There are also prizes, trophies for the highest mark for grade 3, 5, 6 and 8, the highest diploma mark and the highest grade 5 theory result. And we look forward to welcoming all the students who have taken exams on these occasions.